But no, I really hope that this episode allows you to really take a step back, to really take in what we're saying. Take this time to really take maybe 30 minutes to an hour to truly indeed dive into these questions, to analyze, what was done in the past 3 months. What is it that you want to do this year? What were your goals going into this year? What goals do you even have going into the following year? The world moves very fast, as we all know, and there's distractions to the left and right of us, and it's all there to literally take you off your path. We don't want you to lose that focus. So let's focus here on the details today.
Hell of an intro, I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stay grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those, and then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential.
Man, now we can't really just do anything because now we're on camera.
Yeah, that's true.
This feels a bit different.
It is.
Feels not, I shouldn't say weird. Just now how do we say like secret things?
I mean, there's no such thing as secret things because everything that we say is already recorded. So it's more about like how do we invite the audience to even be part of the room. So kind of adding elements like video instead of just having audio, having that added element, allow people to cope the material a different way. Some people learn better when they're able to see things, and some people learn better when they're just able to hear things. Yeah. So people learn differently. This is another way, to implement it. And, it could go to other dimension. We can create cartoon avatars that then, for kids, episode for kids, it could be anything. There's different way. People learn in different, in various ways, I should say.
What kind of learner are you? I'm more visual.
I like to, that's such a good question because because from a perspective of where when I'm visualizing things that I want to implement, I like to, picture it and then kind of have that assessment and know exactly, where I'm trying to go with it. But in terms of learning, I like to listen. I'm not really more of a, seeing how it looks before I know what it means.
Gotcha.
I'll much rather listen because, through experiences, I like to hear people experience the stories, the mechanism that make whatever that thing is be what it is.
Well, you're talking more about visualization. I'm just talking about learning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would learn through listening.
Gotcha.
Because I'm even thinking, on the smaller spectrum, how do I listen to most of my book or read quote unquote most of my books is through audiobook. So I would listen to them and then if it's a book that I'm interested in, then I will get a hard copy, listen to the audio, and also have the hard copy for note purposes so I can actually see. But I like listening to the material because then I can kind of like put my own image to it, my own identity to it. I can associate it with something else. So let's say if you tell me, something about tell me something that random, and I'm gonna have to find what I can associate it with that will help me remember it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I'm the type of person where I have to see it be done, at least not everything be done, but I have to see it. Just you gotta show me before anything. In order for me to remember, in order for me to kind of, like you said, you attach things to it, I have to see it in order for me to make that attachment to something.
But go ahead. No, I thought you had more to say there.
No, so.
But that's also what I think our current, society is built for. I think a lot of people like to see things before they believe and buy into it, rather than, trying to put in, the work to, whether it's to listen or to do before you see the final result. So I'm kind of, I'm not trying to pivot the subject here, but I'm just saying, like, we live in a society now where people like to see what it's going to look like before they even take action. Don't you think so?
I agree.
Yeah.
But hey, it's you live in a world where you're given most before you have to go out there and go get. So,
Yeah.
can you fault anybody?
Although I do think that the power is into the application and the learning, that experience. The final result is just a mere, reward.
Of what you've created.
Yeah. The beautiful, the entire story is into that experience on how you're making that come to fruition.
Mm.
The end result is just a reward.
It's just a product of what
Yeah.
you've done, of all the hard work, of everything.
So when
the long nights, the early mornings.
Right. So with that concept, I think you should technically celebrate every milestone along the way just as much as you celebrate
The end.
the end.
That's an interesting topic, but we'll save that for another one because I like what you said because I would celebrate the end rather than celebrate the milestones in between. And that's just I'm not done.
Yeah.
That's just the mindset.
Yeah, true, but you still want to be there and appreciate the
Absolutely.
fact that you even got there.
110%. I completely agree. But welcome back, baby. We're back with another one. Welcome to the Walk and Grow. I want to say podcast, but I don't want to say that no more. I think we're transitioning. So once I figure out exactly what that word is going to be, you're gonna know. But I'm gonna say for now the show, because this is a show. I mean, now we've taken it to video on that aspect. We're on TV. We're no longer just behind the scenes and in somebody's ear. Now we have the potential to be, or we actually are, in your ears. You can see us now. Hey.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, sure.
You'll grow out of it.
I guess.
It's part of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Walk and grow, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna get straight into it. Today's discussion, today's topic, today's show topic, whatever you want to call it, is gonna be all about reflection. How do you reflect? So, reason why I want to talk about this is because we're just coming off of January 1st, 2022. Q1 is over. First quarter's done.
This is not a corporation, bro.
This is everyone looks at things.
I get what you're saying. No, I know.
Q1 is over.
I know.
So now we're stepping into what we like to call Q2, quarter two. So if you're into sports like me, first quarter's over. Now we got to go second quarter. Now we have to make our adjustments. Now we have to see what hand were we dealt. What did we face? What did we deal with? How can we go about fixing it to improve? Because we all make goals. I mean, we all make goals.
You're retooling. You're recalibrating your plans.
For the most part, we all make goals. So now, how many of you guys all remember your goals? How many of you guys all even look at your goals?
It's still pursuing those goals.
Right. It's still pursuing those goals that you made at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Don't get lost, because it's possible, and it happens. It happens to us all, where, hey, we create these goals, and then 3 months, 6 months later, we completely forgot about those goals, and now we're chasing something completely different. And that's what I like to call a distraction. So don't lose sight of it. Here, today's discussion is going to truly be about making sure we keep everybody where they're supposed to be, where you're trying to go to. Now, if something doesn't check off that box, the same goal that you had in the beginning of the year doesn't check off now, that is fine. Take it off. Now you know where to really put your focus. But that's where we're going to really dive into today. I hope you're ready for this, because it's going to be for the both of us at the same time. You know that, right? I haven't actually reflected on any of this, so I'm going to reflect at the same time with everybody. So
I think I'm more than ready.
Okay.
I can say that with the utmost confidence.
What are you, LeBron now? I'm more than an athlete.
Go ahead.
But no, I really hope that, this episode allows you to really take a step back, to really take in what we're saying. Take this time to really take maybe 30 minutes to an hour to truly indeed dive into these questions, to analyze, what was done in the past 3 months. What is it that you want to do this year? What were your goals going into this year? What goals do you even have going into the following year? The world moves very fast, as we all know, and there's distractions to the left and right of us, and it's all there to literally take you off your path. We don't want you to lose that focus. So let's focus here on the details today. But first question.
Hold on. Before you ask the question, I want to say I'm glad that you even brought up this topic, because I wasn't thinking about it. And the reason why I said that, I was sitting in my car today and I thought about it. I'm like, it's fascinating when like life is coming at you at such a at a certain pace, and you're such on the go zone where it's what's next. Like
Yeah.
I really understand how important it is to pause and reflect. That's why I was like, I'm glad that you brought this up now, because it's really at a point where we need to kind of pause and also reflect on all the aspects of what we're trying to do.
I mean, we're talking professionally, we're talking personally, we're talking, just physically, mentally, everything. This is the moment where you get to look back and say, I didn't enjoy that, or, oh yeah, let's keep that running.
Right.
Let's keep that one going, because that's what you truly indeed enjoyed. But let's start the show, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is focusing, again, just pay attention to the past 3 months. We don't want you to look at the past year, just 3 months. We're going to make this into, and you can use this same template every single quarter, every year, really, truly indeed. But I think if we focus on the quarters, we'll go ahead and make progress to what we need to do for the year. So within the past quarter, what would you say made you feel most happy?
The past quarter, what made me feel most happy is the fact that I'm standing by what I wanted to do early on. Most of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of the year, I'm still, on track with those. And I looked at it, I'm like, wow, I did not actually anticipate it turning out the way it's turning out, because, I've been able to do so much more and structure my time in a way where it allows me to do so much more. So I think it's heading in the direction that, I had a plan. So that made me happy, kind of pause and realize that, oh, wow, if you stick to it, you stick to the blueprint, it can work out. It might even work out better than you anticipated. But you have to be persistent and actually want it bad enough. So I think the fact that, I had a plan coming in for the year. Don't get me wrong, there was some bumps along the way, but to me, what made me happy, and the short answer here is just the fact that I realized that I'm still on track.
Look, so that's great, don't get me wrong. Is there an activity though that made you feel most happy? Is there something that you did that you still want to do? Is there some activity specifically that made you happy? I don't want to focus.
The podcast.
Yeah.
I think the podcast, because, it's something that we've talked about for 2 years, right? And if not, more. Ever since I've known you, we've had, I think if we started a podcast when I met you, we would be in a completely different dimension right now.
I don't think we would be talking about the things we've been talking about today.
Right, exactly. So it's just the fact that, that's one of those things where I say, hey, everything that I wanted to do at the beginning of the year, I'm following through with. So hence the podcast. We're like, hey, we're launching the podcast January 18th, and so and so and so, and seeing how it's unfolding. Like I like this. Like I want to do even more episodes, because I understand the power it's having, on other people's life. I told you about the conversation that I had with Ombo yesterday. It's like you see the impact it has in those who are listening to it and following. So that makes me happy and makes me hungry to even go out there more and do even more. So that makes me happy.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, for myself, I would go ahead and say networking. That's always been my bread and butter. This is what I'm always gonna stick with. Networking is just it puts me in a different place every time, because you meet different people. I mean, you get to find out more things about somebody. You get to learn new things about people. But that aspect, that I 110%, that's something that I will always keep by my side and always make time for, because it's important to me, and I know it. I've already identified that. So that's literally what made me. I mean, I could have done it a little bit more, I think, this past quarter. Take advantage of course, the time, the opportunities, the events, especially now that COVID is almost gone. Because I'm sure that, knock on wood, because I'm sure there's some states that's still not down and out right now. But at least here it's at its peak, at its down. I would say the end. But no, I would say networking. That one activity has helped me increase my relationships, has helped the podcast expand their relationships. And I'm saying there as if it's not attached to me, but you get me. I would say, of course, my business as well in real estate. So that all combined, coming together, definitely made me happy. Now, how are you going to make more time for what makes you happy? I mean, you mentioned the podcast. So how have you identified how you're going to make more time for that, so that it because the goal is, of course, to be happy, right? You want to do the things you love doing, and there's no reason to do the things that you hate. So how are you going to make more time for that?
Have a structure and plan it in a way where it's set based off of the amount of the range of importance it has in my life. So I'm going to dedicate the time based off of how important that task is in my life. So I'm structured. Like, for example, I've told you this multiple times. Sundays, Sundays is for family. I don't do anything on Sunday.
He stole that from me.
If I'm not with my girl, I'm not with my parents. I'm at home just doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Probably with a bowl of ice cream and hanging out with Maui.
What is your favorite ice cream, by the way? Just off the top.
I think this is gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way because I've already gotten it, but it's mint chocolate chip.
Oh yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
See, that's exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
Ew.
I know, weird. But yeah, mint chocolate chip is definitely my favorite. But back to it, you threw me off.
So how are you gonna make more time? You talked about you're gonna have structure.
Structure it. Like, I know Sunday you're not gonna catch me on Sunday. We're not talking business or nothing or like work related on Sunday. That's not happening. I don't care if I don't care what's happening. But knowing that now you have to maximize your time from Monday to Saturday. Yeah. So how do I structure it to a way where I'm still able to dedicate enough time, to the thing that I'm passionate about? Yeah. So if I'm passionate about something, of course I'm going to make it a priority. And also, whatever, pays the bills, because what's your passion? I don't make any money off this podcast.
Yeah.
I do this because it's something that I want to share my experiences and the knowledge and the wisdom that been passed on to me. I'm just trying to be another light along the way, because we're all a shining light into someone else's eyes. It's just how bright do you want to be
for that,
for that individual or your people or your family or your legacy? How bright do you want your light to be? I like to use the example of the power outlet. When you have a power outlet, it's the same source of energy, right? If you plug in like a bulb, like just a smaller bulb, it's gonna shine to a certain radius, But if you plug in a larger bulb, let's say a chandelier, for example, it's gonna light up maybe the entire room.
Right.
So the range is different, but they're both accomplishing the same, kind of the same purpose. They're shining a light to it, in a darker environment. The magnitude is just different. So how large do you want your light to be?
Exactly.
Right. So it's kind of, that discussion.
Okay. So then, just following off of what you just kind of said there.
I said too much, but.
No, you said enough. It's kind of jumping off of what you just said there, though. Yeah. What made you unhappy? And look at the things that kind of took away from your joy, took away like energy from who you are in your life, and try not to look at it on the aspect of you're blaming anybody. Like, more look at it of the things that you had control of, right? Control the controllables. So essentially, like, what are the things that made you unhappy that you control, essentially? And don't look at something that happened. Don't look at anybody that you're gonna blame. This is primarily focused on you in the past 3 months. So what would you say that made you unhappy, or took some sort of like joy or energy away from you?
I think there was a period of time where I kind of zoned out of my own self. By that I mean is I had to step out of my body and look at it in a way that, hey, I'm not practicing what I'm preaching at this time. And that was when I started, when I was expecting the supports to be a bit larger, and starting a podcast, I was expecting certain people, to kind of come through and kind of give something simple as a feedback, of how the podcast is going or how this is going. But not seeing that interaction with the audience kind of disappointed me. And it made me realize this is where I stepped out of my body and looked at it from an outside perspective. And it made me realize that, hey, you're setting expectation for other people. You shouldn't be doing that. And you said that yourself, you say yourself all the time, like, hey, control the controllable. Like you're saying, you can't control everybody. You can't control their action. So once I made that decision, I was at peace with that. When not that decision, but once I became aware that I wasn't, preaching, doing what I was preaching, I realized, okay, I need to recalibrate. You know, you do what you have to do, continue to do what you're doing, whether they take it or not. This is not your problem.
Yeah.
But you still have to, you know, continue to, because this is a passion of mine. You know, being able to have a conversation, you know, break it down with people and educate one another, because we are all here to learn. You know, I said it every day, we're both teachers and student.
Yep.
You know,
Yep,
you're
yep,
a teacher and a student. You're gonna die a teacher and a student. So it's just like, you know, how you want to do it. And to me, I find this to be helpful, because it doesn't cost me much. You know, it's just me and a mic and, you know, conversation with you. You know, I don't have to put myself on top of a trampoline for you to understand my concepts. It's just my words, you know, my mind and my words. I don't have to try to convince you to get into these magic tricks or card tricks and stuff like that. I think my passion is kind of straight to the point. But yeah. Okay. That so my what kind of made me unhappy was that I set expectation for other people, and when I found myself being disappointed, I you know, quote unquote, somewhat try to blame others for it. Well, it's just my approach on how I looked at the situation. Pause on it and say, hey, you know, why are you even setting those expectations? Just, you know, do what you have to do and let it out there. Yeah. Whoever comes, you know, and take what's at the table, they come and take it.
Exactly.
It's not on you.
Yeah. No, and I like that a lot, because I struggled with that at some point in time, and then I had a good friend of mine who said, man, it's you got to let people grow at their own pace. So now, if you ever hear me say, that's your life, that's exactly what I'm reminding myself literally of. You know, everybody grows at their own pace. So that's one of my go-to sayings to remind myself, like, hey, that's your life.
That's what I was saying off the air when I talked about this season. I'm like, yeah, we all in different seasons.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's going through something, and whether it's good or bad, but everybody's going through something. We're not all in the same season. You know, right now it could be somebody like, you know, who wants to listen to the podcast and actually apply some of the concept. Yeah. Or it could be somebody who just want to listen to the podcast and you know, write down without taking any action, because they're trying to put a game plan together. Or there's somebody who's still trying to understand some of the concepts that we're talking about. Or it could be somebody who's like, hey, I have somebody, you know, who can benefit from this.
Exactly.
Let me take the notes that I can and pass it on. So we're all in different seasons. You know, some people don't even want to listen to the podcast, or because podcast is not their thing. They'll much rather watch Netflix and figure out who the latest Kardashian is doing, what, you know, whatever. So we're all in different seasons.
Exactly.
I
can't fault them. Is that, like you said, everyone's in different seasons. I mean, for myself though, what made me unhappy this past quarter, I would say the way I was going about getting business. I felt like it was salesy. I was doing not so much salesy. I'm looking, again, I'm in real estate to build relationships. You know, I think one thing I've identified early, and exactly why I'm in real estate, is because I know everyone needs a home, right? Everyone deserves one for the most part. Yeah. Some people just decide, hey, this is not for me, and hey, so be it. So how I was going about doing it, I was doing a lot of cold calls. And those cold calls, it's just, I don't know what it is. Don't get me wrong, they're effective, right? It's just, I didn't really see myself at least building a relationship through that. So that was one of the key things I would definitely say that took a lot of my energy out, because I would do it and I'm like, I would question, like, why am I doing this? Even though I know I'm doing this to, hey, help somebody out there, build a relationship with someone, but it didn't feel real to me. I don't know. And I don't know, maybe I think it's primarily, I'm going to go ahead and say it's primarily the way I'm going about it. You know, definitely I could use some more coaching up there. And that's probably something that I should look into and getting more of. But that goes on to another thing that made me unhappy was the mentorship. Like, I'm not going to talk about nobody specifically, but it's just like, man, one thing I would definitely say is, you know, really, really, really do your due diligence on your mentors, the people that you look up to, the people that you aspire to be, because some people live double lives. And don't let them fool you. I'm not talking about nobody specifically.
Sounds like you had an experience. It sounds like you went through some things.
No, it's nothing bad. It's just it's you really get to see the more you're talking, the more you're doing, the more experience, the more time. Time reveals a lot, you know. So that's why I say do your due diligence with your mentors, your mentorship, whoever is coaching you up, who is helping you. Whatever it is, you know, just do your due diligence, because it's truly the important. That's the one thing I would definitely say that made me a little bit unhappy. Not too much, but it's just like, man, I didn't see this coming from you.
Unhappy enough for you to mention it on the podcast. So yes, it had an impact.
It did, because I want everybody else to know what's
Yeah.
going on in my life.
Yeah.
You know, not everything is peachy, not everything's all
That's facts.
green grass
That's
and
facts.
gravy. Like, no,
Yeah,
we
that's
all
true.
go through our own stuff. So, but that's one of the things, is just being vulnerable and just letting you guys all know, like, hey, I'm going through it too. Like,
Right.
It may look good, but
From the outside looking in, huh?
But if you really have a conversation with me, I'm probably not gonna tell you, because if you can't solve my problem, then what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But let's follow. Go ahead.
I met a lady yesterday who told me, hey, if you are you don't, and not everybody is going to be in the same category as you. Some people,
Yeah.
you know, only need to know certain set of information,
Exactly.
and you leave them as that. They don't need to know the whole story, which was kind of fascinating, because when you think about it, you know, the same conversation you're going to have with somebody you just met at the bar and your friend is completely different.
Yeah.
The information, you're going to calibrate the information based off of what you think they need to know.
Yeah. And that's you essentially prejudging someone. But
Yeah, I know, right? I know, which is unfair to the individual as well. 'Cause
yeah,
yeah.
you gotta show.
I've
your
structured
value.
it to just value and principle. I think if we're able to sit at a table and have a conversation, and I'm able to, you can easily, you know, well, not easily, but you can have a rough understanding of what someone values and principles are in life based off the conversation. Like 10, 15 minutes at the bar with somebody, or at the library with somebody, or, you know, a cashier cashing you out of your transaction. You can tell where this person, like, what kind of values they have in life, you know,
That's
based off of the things that they say. So to me, I've identified, okay, if they have the same values, like somewhat similar values and principle as me, I don't mind, unleashing everything. I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
you know, because I know, like, you know, we on the same frequency, somewhat in the same frequency length, so we can have that conversation. You know, if you're a low frequency and trying to bring me at that low frequency, I'm not going to tell you much. In fact, I might not say anything. I'll listen more than I talk.
Yeah.
But if
To get out of there.
yeah. But same thing if you're at a high frequency, because I'm I'm a sponge. I like to soak things in. I'm gonna just ask enough for you to let you freestyle so I can cope. I'm there to learn as well. And in fact, and the information that I deem, you know, relevant to the conversation that could help you, I'll throw it out there.
Right.
But it's identifying and being aware that you're even put in that situation, all those little things. We don't think about it a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes at all.
Yeah.
But let's continue with this. So we already have what makes you feel most happy. How will you make more time for what makes you most happy?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just discuss, you know, what makes you unhappy, and you know, what kind of takes the joy and energy away from, you know, what you've been doing the past 3 months. Again, this is only
3
looking
months.
at the past quarter. So don't think about everything that happened last year and this past 3 months and what's coming. This is just the past 3 months.
Right.
So now let's move forward. What was the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh, yeah, I think that's the one that I got yesterday, where I was like, hey, I think we've always had the ideas, me and you, like just everybody, you know, we all have wonderful ideas as individuals. It's just that sometimes we take those ideas in the wrong rooms. And the reason why I said that is because a lot of the stuff that me and you have been talking about, or just that conversation that we've had in general and as a collective group, which is whether it's in our, you know, private group or whatnot.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, you know, as I'm entering different rooms in different environment, and those ideas are also being mentioned, you kind of realize that, you know, we've always had the good intention and the good, you know, structure and kind of understanding of how where we want to go, the bigger picture, right? Let's just put it that way. But it's easy to be put in an environment where those ideas can be shut down. Those ideas can be, you know, kind of just overlooked and not followed through on. So, yeah, the biggest lesson is knowing that most ideas are good. You just have to take them to the right room, the right individual, the right person, and they have to be in the right season, the right time, and ready to even cope that.
But even doing that, right? I'll go ahead and look at the other side of it. But even when you try to share somebody like what your vision is, it's tough for a person to see your vision because it's literally your vision. So even if you bring it into the correct room, it still may not flow the way you think it's going to flow.
No, I'm not
because
talking about making people understand the vision. I'm talking more about that the idea itself. You know, think of the idea as a seed that you plant. You get more roots out of it,
Got it.
in those rooms.
I mean,
because
so what's the biggest lesson out of that, though? Bring the ideas into the right rooms? Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So don't be afraid to share your ideas with individuals, because you're able then to assess, you know, whether that idea stays stagnant or it's growing some momentum, it's growing some legs. You're able to get some traction with it, because basically an idea is a collection of different ideas.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it goes from one step to another step to another step. So if, let's say I have an idea, I come up to you and you're like, yo, you know, you should consider this and this. That idea grew some legs.
Speaking of Mike.
You know, if I come up to you and you're like, hey, you should consider doing this and this and this, that tells me that idea grew some legs, because you're able to give me
ideas,
right.
from your idea.
So that's what I'm saying. You want to be able to bring those ideas in environment where they can grow some legs, because that's how you grow and take action upon, you know, your ideas, on those ideas, and get those results you're looking for, which is, I kind of, you know, I've identified that we're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah. Which is what? What would you say?
I'll say it at the end.
Okay.
Can I save it for the end? So that way,
That's fine. That's fine.
I'll say it at the end.
My biggest lesson I've learned is not everybody needs to, not everybody wants to, not everybody is qualified to be a leader. That was one of the big things. That's one of the big things that I've
like that
identified. It's, you know, it's just not everybody doesn't really care to, and you know, you got to respect everybody for what it is that they have set for themselves, what they want for themselves. So that was my big one. It's, you know, not everybody's wants to, never cares, and once you've identified that, then everyone can kind of play their role and keep the ball rolling, essentially. But let's move forward. Let's go on. What is something you wish you did more of? And so essentially, what is something you didn't make more time for that you wish you made more time for? What is that one thing that was a part of your schedule moving? What is the one thing that has to be a part of your schedule moving forward? Sorry. So this is a bun. I kind of just said it's all one question.
I got it.
Yeah.
So the answer is the same I think for both. And the reason why I said that is because it was on my list of things to do, but I think it can use a bit more time, which is to learn a new language. Because
so I'm gonna pause you there, because you're doing exactly what I don't want you to do, and I don't want anybody else to do this as well. Don't beat yourself up right now.
No, I'm not beating myself up.
Don't beat yourself up.
I'm just telling you. You want me to share? I'm not beating myself up. I'm just saying it could use a bit more traction. You asked me, you know, what is one thing that I would like to be able to do more of? That's one of it.
Okay. As long as you're not beating yourself up for not ahead and looking at other languages and stuff like that.
And the reason why I want to do that is because I understand the power of knowing another language. Your network just exponentially grew.
Yeah, literally. That's wow.
You know, so that's kind of the work with it, and it's not Spanish for those who are wondering.
Is it French?
No.
What is something
and I would love to have it as a trivia question if you can figure it out. I don't know. We'll go out for lunch maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Well, whatever you want, but it's not Spanish.
What is something I wish I did more of? So this is exactly what we talked. You talked about this a little earlier. I definitely said more networking, but I'm not going to say that. Spending more family time and reaching out to my loved ones, right? So that's something I still to this day I do horrible with it. So even the Sunday aspect, I mean, even some Sundays I'll do less work. I just wouldn't do as much. But I definitely think that, you know, spending Sundays, like literally, as I set this for myself, and I still can't even follow my own routine. It's just, hey, you're just on it. You're on the mission. You know, you're running.
It's part of those obstacles and challenges you have to overcome, right?
But definitely, I would say reaching out to loved ones. That's one I definitely wish I made more time for, and I'm looking at it right now, right? I'm not beating myself up, I promise you. I'm just looking at it, analyzing, like, hey, what is it that you need to work on moving forward so that you can make those adjustments, so then make you feel most happy? Because in the end, all we're achieving is Save that for the end.
This guy. What is this now? You know?
Hey, you got it. I actually just thought about that. I was like, I'm not gonna spill it because you didn't spill yours.
That's fine. That's fair.
But what is something you wish? What is something you want to do less of?
Social media for sure. Social media for sure, bro. If I could just give my phone to somebody here, run it for me, I would love to do that. Without a doubt.
Marketing, yeah, definitely.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah, I want to do less. Yeah, without
so
a
if
doubt,
you're good into like whatever, what you call it these days, social media marketing.
Yeah, there you go. That's the
social
title.
media marketing. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we both understand, like we both don't like social. Well, actually, I don't like it. Actually, I don't like it because it requires
And
a lot from one. And
speaking of that, I spoke to some other people and they agreed on the same fact. They're like, "Yo, you and I, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Social media marketing is just
it's its own different world.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
you gotta be. It's a full-time job,
yeah.
literally. Anyways, let's move forward. What was your biggest success professionally?
Oh, being able to get what I wanted in terms of the task and responsibility that I was looking for.
How'd you go about getting that?
I knew that was kind of coming because
I mean, I got
you want me to spill the beans.
No, you
can't-
can kind of keep it, PG. You don't gotta go the whole way.
Standing out and kind of voicing the fact that I know I'm able to handle more. And this, I'm talking about my career. For those who don't know, I don't just do podcasts full time. I have a job. But yeah, so being able to talk to the right people and say, hey, I'm willing to take on more responsibility. And I think I can help in this environment because I see that you're struggling in this specific area. So I'd already identified an area of needs within the company, and I was able to, just have that conversation and say, hey, can I take this off the plate? Because that's how you add value. So can I take this off the plate and run with it? So they were able to meet me halfway understanding, and they gave me that responsibility, which I enjoy because it's actually cool.
Bless me.
I can't bless you. I was in the middle of talking, but yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
They got it on tape anyway.
That's why I said bless me, because they saw it, but you didn't.
Yeah, I was,
Go ahead.
but you get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So I put myself out there. Let's just put it that way, to take on more responsibility. So I think that was cool. That was cool to me, and they gave it to me too. So it's like, yeah,
They trust you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know, and to me, what's good is the fact that it's one of those things where if I was to leave the company right now, somebody would need to be trained to do what I'm doing right now.
And that takes a lot of time, work, effort, money, all
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Pay attention to.
Yeah, and they've already asked me. They were like, "Hey, do you want us to have somebody else, while you're doing these, to be with you?" I'm like, "No."
We'll stop there.
Nope.
There.
Anyway.
We'll stop there. No, I said
But-
PG. I said PG, man.
Anyway, go ahead.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
You don't want the wrong person tapping into this one.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I
But
get what you're saying.
Pay attention to, and I think that's a key thing with this question and specifically. Pay attention to when that started. Like, how long did it take you to get there? Like, just reflecting wise, how long it took you to get there? Because I feel like sometimes when we look at our biggest accomplishments, we fail to realize how long it took us to get to that point to even do that one thing, right? And I want to kind of reflect on mine. Like, what was my biggest accomplishment? I found who I needed to serve, right, within my business, right, within being in real estate. I found that. And after, I would say, a year and a half or so, it took me in order, like, yeah, everybody needs a home, but it's me personally, I know I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. It's the facts.
Excuse me.
It's just what it is. So
Go ahead.
that was one of the key things. I was like, who do I really enjoy being around a lot? Who upsets me more, and who keeps me, on my toes? Who keeps me, giving me high hopes? Like, what is it? Who is it? And that's one of the big things that I found. And now I'm just gonna dive deep. Now we're digging the hole deeper, just to get close to that gold. But again, it's how long did it take me to get there? I already said a year and a half of trying to figure out who is that, what group is that, of the group of people that I'm trying to serve, that keeps me happy, that keeps me going, that keeps me saying, yo, I'm going to do this again and again and again and again. It's just, insanity.
And I think you can relate that same thing that you went through with how long it took you to identify your passion,
Yeah.
because it all took us some time to identify
yeah,
your passion.
yeah,
It's the
exactly.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, do you think the same steps that you took to kind of identify your who you need to serve is similar to the steps that you took to identify your passion?
I'm gonna say no. Reason being, because one took experience and real life experiences, whereas one just took me sitting down and understanding who I am.
Yeah, but I think, okay, I see what you're saying.
So one is I was actually out in the field, whereas another one I was just like, all right, what do you really want to do? And just literally sitting with myself. This had nothing to do with anybody, but just me, myself, my mind, and I. So I think those are two different things.
Yeah, but I agree, but I think they all have one thing in common, and is the fact that you took action.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we all have to remember, is it's important to take action in whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
That action part is key. It's not just gonna come up to you.
So the biggest blessing in disguise is, this is the next question too. When was a moment that you failed? Again, past 3 months. Don't get lost now.
I'm
past
thinking.
3 months.
I'm thinking.
This is the blessing in disguise, because now this is where we really find, the one thing that, did it really work, or, is it really worth it?
A moment that I failed. The moment that I failed is when I was 15 minutes late to a call that I was supposed to run. I was supposed to present
that's stressful.
part of these new responsibilities that you have, huh?
15, that's
I was
stressful,
15 minutes late to the call, and I was being called by multiple people that were already in the meeting.
Tell you.
They were calling because they have my number, my private number.
Where are you?
Yeah. So, you just go imagine.
Whoa.
15 minutes late, because I was having another, like, a lunch meeting, an important lunch meeting.
Oh,
I was having
so you double booked yourself.
Yes.
So
Yes. So then I sat there and I'm like, I felt like crap.
yeah.
I felt like crap. And the best advice that I got that day, and I think that's what allowed me to, get over that hump and take that misfortune into, turn that into a blessing. The best advice I got that day is own it.
Okay.
Own it. Really own it. So I picked myself up and I was like, I'm going to own up to what I did.
Yeah.
Called every single body that was on that call that was supposed to be on that. I jumped on the call, right? We had the call. It went as expected. I was able to get the things that I needed to get done. And then at the end of the call, I sent an email to everybody, explaining the situation, what happened, apologized to it, to what happened, called every single one, and, explained this, kind of just, going the extra mile. That's what I did. I owned it. Yeah. I'm my fault here. I was having lunch. It was important. The conversation was so good that I didn't check my phone for 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's when you realize, you can easily lose it just as fast as it came to you. You can easily lose it just as fast as you came to you. You have to be on your P's and Q's.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the power of organizing and staying on schedule and doing all that. So that moment really, and I sat down, I'm like, I really got to own this thing right here, because, hey.
That's tough.
It's tough. So that's one. Tough. Yeah. And that's me being vulnerable with y'all, but you'll be okay.
Now, I've sat with myself and I read this question. I'm trying to think, literally. I need you to help me figure this one out.
Therapy session right now?
No.
I'm going to be Wendy Rhodes on live action. Wendy, because what do you want, Bobby Axelrod?
And I don't want to sound like there was nothing that didn't fail me, but because even if there was something that did, I can't recall it right now, because I just get over it and I just keep pushing. In the past 3 months, I can't really. I guess the only thing I got one actually. I had goals, I had expectations in terms of what I wanted to do in my business that I didn't hit. That was why. And of course, that came from a reflection of what I was doing, right? I said it already. I wish I was doing more networking. I did some, but I could have did more that would have put me in front of people that I could have helped. So definitely, yep, that's what it is.
That's the one.
That's the one.
You just had to talk.
Yeah, exactly. I had to
You
talk
just
and
had
think
to
about
talk,
it.
and it came up to you.
But it was definitely just the goals that I've set myself to do within the first quarter, I didn't hit. So now I have no choice but to ramp it up the second, third, and fourth quarter to make sure I hit those goals. Because, again, you still have 3 quarters. That is 9 months. Yeah.
75% still. You can still pass the class. You can still pass the class.
The year is getting close to over, but it's not over yet. So you still got that time to go ahead and do what it is that you have to do to make sure that you still hit, again, the end goal. Focus on the end goal. This is just you know how we all got progress reports? This is literally what it is. It's a progress report. We're seeing where things are. We don't do that as grown-ups, as adults. Like, we really don't.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't think we do. In term of how it's structured, I don't think we do.
We don't do what, progress reports?
No, I don't think we take the time to collectively, retool. And that's why I say having a therapist is that's the person that kind of allow you to pause
the progress report
and do that progress report. So
so wow.
That's why I was saying I always think about it this way. And that's why I say I'm glad you brought this up. I always think about it this way. We have to do an oil change for our cars, right? You keep it running.
Yeah.
You have to charge your phone. How often do you charge your mind? How often do you do an oil change for your mind? How often do you do an oil change for your body, which is working out? So you get what I'm saying? So how often do you pause and reassess and say, okay, I'm recharged. Let's go at it again.
Yeah.
I'm recharged. Let's go at it again. And that goes for all the aspects of your life, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or intellectually. Recharge.
Yeah.
Go at it again.
Yeah.
So now that therapy session is recharging, and you get out of that room, you're ready to go at life again.
I was speaking to this guy at the gym, and he was like, man, it was one day. I guess there's something in the air because everybody was telling me, I'm tired. I said, man, what's going wrong with you? I was giving everybody some energy because I was excited. It was another day. I was like, let's do this. But he was like, I'm tired, man. I was like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, literally is what I said. Because I'm hearing it multiple times from multiple people. So I'm like, man, something got to be in the air. But he was just like, yeah, I've just haven't been getting good sleep lately. I said, well, did you take a day off during the week? Because sometimes literally all it takes is literally just that one day where you don't force yourself to wake up extremely early, where you kind of sleep in. That helps for you to recharge, like you said, for tomorrow.
Yeah. And it goes to say that don't let what we're saying make it sound like it's easy to do. I know it's not an easy thing to do, to kind of pause and recalibrate and and restructure and reevaluate your plan so you can, I like the fact that you ask about the failure and stuff like that, because moment like that when you have to pause, it's when it's important to reevaluate. Okay, I failed at so and so and so. What could I have done? Like my example, for example, I could set an alarm for my lunch to end at so and so. And my phone vibrating would tell me, hey, it's time for you to go. Reevaluate and see how things could be better. And don't double book yourself. Check your schedule before you go out for lunch. Things like that. But it's important, bro. It's important.
Last but not least.
Oh, that's the last question already?
No, this is I'm about to say right now. What is something you want to learn?
I want to understand why people don't take action. To me, it's really why people do not. And I can be here all day. Why do people don't take action? You know exactly what you have to do when you wake up in the morning, right? But some people don't do what they need to do. And again, it's one of those things I shouldn't let that bother me because I can't, it's one control the controllable, right? But it's just it's so fascinating to sit there and say, yo, we're all made out of the same elements. We're all made out of atoms and, and energy. But yet some of us use those elements, completely different than others. that ticks me, bro. It just it gets me going, because I would be sitting in a room with somebody who's telling me, hey, I know I should be doing this. I'm like, I can't feel sorry for you, because you're already aware that you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Let them live their life.
But yet
that's
bro.
anyway, you hear it. You hear it, yo. That's their life, man.
Right. That's facts.
That's
facts.
It sucks, but if they know what's good for them, then who are you to tell them what's good for them?
Yeah. So if somebody has an answer to like that, I would love to learn and understand from the other side of view, like why. Like for me, I know, I was there once. I wasn't taking action, and I know why that was the case. I didn't have a burning desire or purpose toward. There's nothing really that I wanted to do, to chase after. Once I was able to identify what that one thing was, then you're like, yeah, bro. I'm waking up for this purpose,
right.
and that's why I like to use the example of sports. You're going after that one thing, that one trophy, whether it's the Super Bowl ring, whether it's the NBA trophy, right, or an NFL trophy. You know why you're going in the gym every morning.
Why you playing every basketball game.
You know why those 4 a.m.s or 5 a.m., whatever. You know why you're doing it. So you know what you're going after. Yeah. That's why it's so, the more you think about it, the more you want to do it. But when you're just in there like, I hope we make the playoff, bro. I don't know. Your mindset is now really, you don't have a burning desire to fully win. Yeah, you just want to make it to the playoff. You don't want to win.
About your Lakers or no?
Yeah, I think it was a disappointing season, and it's one of those things where I'm gonna own up to it, because I had us already like winning another ring.
Yeah,
I was like, get it shipped already. Here's my size. All that kind of stuff. But
please.
But
see you guys at home.
Humble yourself is one of those things.
Bye.
Yeah. But you're talking to somebody who's been there before. We went through a phase where we had.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name players because I don't want to disrespect anybody. But we had some players who were on the starting lineup that probably should have never been in the starting lineup in any teams. And those were our starters for quite some time. So I've been through a phase where we went through some rocky season, but this is again one of those most contender go through that phase. You're not gonna win
every year.
Yeah. Most contender go through that phase. The Celtics were fortunate enough to win so many rings in a row because it was different time.
It was franchise,
and it was just completely different. Props to them for even doing that. I don't think it's ever be duplicated. And that's coming from a Lakers fan. But yeah, how did you even get to sports? Anyway,
but okay.
Yeah, I think the Lakers will be fine. And yeah, it was part of me. They will be fine. We made a lot of mistakes. I think certain people were playing position that they were not comfortable playing, which threw off the chemistry. Yeah. And some people just did not come in with the burning desire to win a championship.
To take an action.
Yeah, exactly. To take action.
That's exactly why.
Yeah, you had some players who came. You had some players who came from the G League who were playing better than some starters because they were hungry. Yeah. They wanted to win. So it's identifying exactly who wants to be here, who wants to really own it. And this is why I freaking love Kobe. Somebody told me today, I was like, yo, it's hard for me to put LeBron over Kobe just because of, the values and principles that Kobe had lived by. You either fall in line or we're not going to accommodate to your needs. Like, this is the culture of the team. You either you follow this
or get out
of here. You get out of here. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be, the best player in the country. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I don't think that culture is there right now.
Yeah. I'm sure it's there because they have a bunch of legends, literally, still here, who literally are watching the game. Yeah. So I'm sure not everybody's holding their head high still because, again, you still have people that literally put that name on the front and the back.
Right.
But anyways, to move forward past that, you mentioned how you want to understand why people don't take action.
Yeah, what about you? Well, what is one thing that you feel as though you really want to learn, and how soon? I think I'm going to add a follow-up.
Yeah, so I would say I want to learn about two people and their businesses. It's Don Peebles and...
Who's Don?
Search him, Google him. You'll see who he is. And then the other one is Robert Smith. those two guys, they actually are two very wealthy black men. And I want to learn about their systems and their mindsets, because I mean, being an African American black man in America and being very wealthy as them, that strikes that I came across them. I was like, I should actually be looking into these guys a little bit more.
Where are they from?
One is from New York, and the other one I'm not too sure on. To be honest with you,
How did you come across these guys? Like just scrolling on IG at 3 a.m. in the morning?
No, Don Peoples I know just based off of being in real estate, just trying to find the people who have, successful real estate businesses so that I can idolize it. Part of what you should be doing if you have a business is researching. And this is one of the key things that most people don't do. But that's who I knew from that, just doing research and just trying to find big players in the game. And Robert Smith I came across because Steve Harvey actually talked about him in an interview that he did.
Gotcha.
In which he talked about him sitting in a room with him. I was like, who is that guy? And I looked him up, and I was like, wow, he's doing pretty well for himself. And I was like, good for him. So those are, I would say, and now you mentioned how soon. I'm not going to waste time on that one. I can't. They have systems, they have rules, they have a process, they have, a structure that's working for them. So I want to idolize it because it's working for them. So why not figure out how to idolize it? Bro, get out of there. I can hear every true. Bro. But yeah, no, I just want to idolize exactly what they have so that, I could duplicate it and rinse and repeat, because that's essentially what this is, man. You want to be able to find who has already experienced and find who has already done what you have done, and just copy it and tailor it to what best fits you, and that is it. So those are all the questions. Hey, I'll go through it again, just so if you're taking notes, this is an easy way for you to really, especially if you got to the end of the episode, congratulations to you. I mean, because whoever doesn't make it past it, they probably got over it. They're like, I'm not going to do a reflection on myself. But you decided to say, I'm going to reflect on myself. So to make it easier on you, so you can take these notes down and you can write these questions down, I'm going to go through it really quickly here. Not quickly, but.
Man, you got the money. This podcast must be paying, huh?
No.
Where this watch from, bro?
Come on,
come on, man.
This is why.
Come on, bro.
Because
you got the shiny stuff,
I am just
bro.
a regular person in this world, just like everybody else. Anyways, what made you feel most happy? That's the first question. How will you make more time for that? What made you unhappy? What was the biggest lesson you've learned? What is something you wish you did more of? What is something you want to do less of? Sorry. What was your biggest success? What was a moment you failed? And what is something you want to learn? Those are the questions that I think is going to help you reflect on yourself instead of reflecting on the questions that everybody always asks, which is, what's the one thing you won? What's your biggest accomplishment? Or what's your favorite way to, relax or, just re-energize yourself? I kind of want to dive deeper into, of course, asking those questions, but other questions that are important in terms of helping everything that you do. Because the ultimate goal is to do what? Let's hear yours.
I've kind of come to the conclusion that we are all looking for one thing.
Which is?
Peace of mind.
You took mine, man. Peace. I was
Peace of
gonna
mind.
peace.
Peace of mind. You want that peace of mind that your mortgage is paid, your money is making money for you, your kids are, have the right education. That you're looking for peace of mind. You want to know that those things are taken care of, that the legacy is set. That's I think
You
that's
played your
really,
part. Yeah.
That's really what as human being we really look for.
Great minds think alike.
You want peace of mind that the problem that you see in the world are solved. That's really what we are looking for.
Yeah.
So what will bring you peace of mind? That's I think we should end it there. What will bring you peace of mind? If you identify what will bring you peace of mind, you know what you're working towards.
Yeah. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram, Walk and Grow. You can also find us. You can reach out to us on our Gmail, on Google if you want to reach out through email, walkandgrow@gmail.com. And don't forget,
we got a form out there, guys. People, anybody can fill out that form. And
what's the form for again?
I'm kind of It's shocked that we didn't mention it the entire episode, but
Yeah, I mean, hey, we got to it now, but we'll do better. I mean, this is a work in progress in the end.
yeah. So the forum is basically an opportunity to do a few things, and I like to be transparent with people. So I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. Is to be able to understand, bring people together, a way for us to bridge individual who are, are looking to collectively do something and
Yeah.
grow together and make an impact and have an impact. Not just limit yourself to the point where we're having conversation, but we're going as far as taking action in some of these, situation, and see what other doors we need to knock at as a collective group. What doors do we need to,
How else can we help?
unlock,
Essentially, yeah.
basically. So that's the ultimate kind of, bubble of it. But it's also a great opportunity for us to understand. I don't know. I mean, some of you will pick up on the questions that we have to kind of understand, okay, what kind of content seems important to you? So we're able to tailor our episodes to the type of content you want, the type of products you want, rather than just giving you what we deem to be relevant.
Important, yeah.
Because we want to be able to answer some of your questions. This is why I like somebody yesterday I was hanging out with. He's like, yo, I like what you have going on. I want to be able to know the story of so-and-so because I've seen him do some wonderful things in the community, but I don't know his story. Like, do you know him by any chance? So, things like that is what I wanna hear, because now I know that there's somebody in the audience who wants to hear about that story.
Right.
9 times out of 10, somebody else could also want to hear about that story, or it could benefit from that story as well.
Yep.
That type of engagement does not require us to be on the phone for an hour. It's a simple DM. Hey, I feel as though, hey, you could benefit from so and so and so here. And that shows me that you want us to do well. You want to, because by us doing well, we're able to provide content that also do well for other people.
For you.
Yeah, exactly. So that symmetry, that back and forth exchange is needed.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna, I can't talk about it enough. So please take some time to look at the form. We are not accepting just anybody to be partner. Just would be transparent with this. There is a filtering, process in terms of identifying if we're even heading in the same direction, if it makes sense to have this conversation. Because if we decide to just open that floodgate to just anybody, it basically becomes a Facebook group, and I don't want this to be. It's just a Facebook group. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's that's kind of like the brief. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, we're just trying to get to know the listeners who are listening and see how could we best cater to your needs.
Right.
And the best way for us to know how to cater to your needs is for feedback, is for, for that form to be filled out, because that form does discuss a lot about, the things that we will be discussing on the podcast and just the people that we know that we need to put ourselves and yourselves in front of. I mean, it's simple. It's just, that form is really for you. But of course, again, don't forget, you can always reach out to us. Don't forget as well. Don't leave don't leave a review. Don't forget to leave a review. Yeah. Those are important as well, because that's direct feedback that, what we know, what's working, what's not working. Whether you want to leave that review on Apple, Spotify, Google, I mean, you choose your platform. But just leave that review, because then that's, and I think we should start doing this, where if someone leaves a review, we're going to read it online. We're going to read it live to really, let that person know how we feel, so they know that, they whatever it is. Yeah. But go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Oh, no, I was just going to add one more thing, and I think I'm going to start doing it a lot more often, as for those of you who made it to this point and listened to this episode all the way to this point, it shows your dedication and determination to, to kind of be here and also,
help.
Yeah, right. So you're here. So
out,
I think this should not be, a hard of a task to ask, but I'm going to start doing this. And my task is basically between now and the next episode that we release. I think one of the action steps that I would want somebody to take is to identify who among your friends will benefit from the podcast the most and share it with them. That's all I want you to do in terms of action taking, is identify within your core group of friends who will benefit from this podcast the most and share it with them. Because if we're able to do that, I think we're collectively growing and we're collectively helping.
Yep.
Helping. Think about it as if you walk into a room and you
Who
had
do
an
you want to be in that
opportunity.
party?
If you had an opportunity to put somebody else on the spot and be like, hey, I think this person will be a good person, who would that individual will be? Let's get this thing really boiling, because I think as we continue to take action, no matter how small they are, it's helpful. It's helpful for everybody. It's a win-win for everybody. It is a win-win for everybody.
Just leveling up, cause I know the life I want. I'm just setting it up. Removing those that's close who try messing it up. Can't wait for champagne toast with the relevant bunch. Like, what's up? Yeah. Like, what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.